Welcome at talk&do TV.
Thank you.
About 10 years ago you started your business. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I think it was around 8-9 years ago when I started doing business. I started a small HR company that was specialized in fashion. I always had a great passion to do stuff in lifestyle and fashion, so I decided to open a small boutique HR firm. And the only thing I had was guts. The rest was missing. I absolutely had no money, nothing to really show for. So I decided to, if I wanted to have a better future for myself, I had to do something about it. So, the name was Chill Agency, and actually within 3 weeks I had my first assignment and placed my first manager in a fashion company, and everything went from there on.
But it's not that easy as you tell. So how did you get your first assignment?
The funny
how
thing
did you know how this works?
The funny thing in my career is that everything I want to do actually works out for itself. Of course, I have a lot of drive, a lot of passion, ambition. I work all the hours of the clock, but somehow it also kind of like comes on my way. So that makes it work perfectly. And with a combination of, I think, also my talent to recognize and see products and know what's going to be in fashion. Yeah, I think that is the core combination of my success.
Yeah, but placing your first staff at a client. How do you do that? How much do you charge? How are the contracts arranged? How did you find out?
The funny thing is, doing business, when you listen, everybody tells you what to do. Because I see when I'm talking to a director or a manager of a big company, is that have such huge egos. They want to tell you everything about their business and how fantastic they are and what they. And the only thing you need to do is just sit down, listen to them, and just work out your own strategy. So all the information is on the street.
So your secret is you're a good listener.
Not necessarily. I know when to listen, because I don't listen to everything everybody says, but I know exactly when they're giving me the information that I need. And of course I'm not going to do it exactly like they're telling me, but you know, basic info like, you know, how does it work? How do you get in contact with a company? Where do you get your people from? How can you place them? That's information that's literally on the street.
And how come that you were early 20s, that companies trust you in finding the right staff or whatever?
I think that a lot of my success also has to do with the fact that I can really relate myself to anybody I'm speaking to, and also, you know, in that case, create a little bit of trust and goodwill. I think that's really important. And you know, the first assignment that I took on, I literally just took my phone and called the owner of a big company, a retail organization here in Holland, and asked them, okay, I heard that you need a sales director. And he was like, yeah, but I don't know you. But I said, but the funny thing is you don't know me, but I have the perfect person for you, which obviously I didn't at the time. So, and then he said like, oh wow, you're quick. Being quick is so important in business. You know, this guy that owns like a multi-million company doesn't have the time necessarily to look for the right people in his company. So, and if somebody else externally is, you know, able to be very quick and get exactly what he needs, you know, then it just works out.
So you had a client, you had no staff,
no,
you had
just a phone.
no
I didn't even have a car.
What happened then?
And then I placed this director, and his I got 25% of his year salary, which worked out for like 20,000 guilders or something like that. And that was the money that I used to start investing in my small agency company, because that was my dream. My dream was to import a brand from the UK, and I used that money and painted a small showroom and went to London and got the brand.
Okay, how did that go?
You know, the funny thing is that in business it doesn't really matter if you are an agency or you have an HR company. I think it's all about the whole structure of it, and I really wanted to do something in fashion, and then I knew that recruiting people for fashion companies was only a goal to get where I really want to do, and I wanted to do something with fashion myself. The product, the actual product, is what gives me the thrive, the drill to get up and do what I need to do every day.
You are fashion.
I am
breathe
fashion.
fashion.
Yeah.
Did you have that from as being a little child?
Growing up, my parents had little to no money, so I had to, always create something myself to wear what other friends of mine were wearing, because their parents obviously had a little bit of better financial situation. But looking back, I was always, busy with my clothing, everything that I wanted to wear, and on a superficial level. And today, it's much more about a lifestyle and a way of living for me. And it's not about the product anymore. It's about what I really want to do and who I am as a person and the style.
Where do we want to be in, let's say, 5 or 10 years?
In 5 to 10 years, 5 to 10 years is a very long period of time for me, because
What are your goals? What are your higher level?
Yeah, I'm a very impulsive person, so when I get up in the morning, I can easily just completely change my mind. And even though I've been working on a project for 10 months, but it doesn't feel the way it felt 10 months ago, I can also unplug it and say, you know what, this is just not the right thing for me to do. And my intuition, I think, is the best thing that I have. As a businesswoman, I think that's something that a businessman never has. He just looks strictly to figures, and I think that is something I can do better than anybody else.
We do have this ambition, but we don't listen to it. We're not used to listening to our gut feeling.
That's what every man says I meet, but you know what? Somehow you guys are so much more in your own mannish world that you don't really seem to know what's going on, and the feeling of I don't know, sensitivity that a woman has and is born naturally is really missing in men, I think. Okay. But maybe you will get there one day.
Maybe, I'll try. Going back to, you wanted the Supertrash brand. How did that go?
Supertrash is actually something that really wasn't on my mind. The only thing I was successful, I might say, not super successful, this small successful businesswoman, and I was 23, but I just felt the urge to create something myself. I was a distributor, and I did a lot of brands, I think 7, 8 at the time, and every season I was just really not happy with the collection that these brands sent me, so I thought, you know what, my next step is to do everything myself, so I wanted my own brand. So I went to New York to check out, because New York 6, 7 years ago was really, like, in fashion, very, very important. After that, not so much, but then at the time, everything that was happening came from New York. So I booked a ticket to New York, and I went to New York Fashion Week. And I met this really fantastic girl that was talking about Supertrash, and Supertrash was a concept in her head. The funny thing is, she and me clicked so well, is that I understood the feeling, I understood the concept that she had, and I wanted to work with her to create a super brand. And actually, I'm explaining it very simple, but that's exactly how it went. So I came back to I came back to Holland, and I was really inspired by her. And we decided that we were going to work out how we were going to do the collaboration together. And then we sent each other emails, and the whole thing went really quick. And she got enthusiastic because of me. I because of her, and then it just exploded. It was a lot of energy in there. But
the feeling was good, but there was no collection yet.
No, there was no collection. There was a strong identity, a strong concept, and I think every good product has that. So the collection itself, I think it took us 2 weeks to create it, because everything already was there. You could really draw out who this Supertrash girl. It was this Hollywood old glamour combination with this young new it girl. So we knew exactly the clothes. The target audience was so clear. We knew what we were doing for who we were making it.
But what's the secret then? Because there are maybe 1 million people who want to create a fashion brand
and do actually create a fashion brand. I think there are every year 6,000 to 7,000 people who start a fashion brand. And not all of them are successful. I think maybe not even 1,000 of them. But that.
Where is the trick then? How do you create a global big brand?
I think the strength of a global brand is that it acts local. So, you know, when you think global, you need to start, okay, what's my home market? What is the target audience? And that's what you need to focus on. And then you can really relate to every country in the world because there's that market everywhere.
Yeah, but for instance, let's look at the local market here in Holland.
Yeah.
It's different than Belgium.
Yeah, completely.
Or, Germany.
But that's different when you
that?
want to do everything. You know, when you really decide that you want to concentrate on this girl that's between 25 and 40 and you know, is independent, travels a lot, goes to the nicest clubs and the hotels. Then you know exactly who this girl is, and this girl lives everywhere. She's not a girl that only lives in Holland.
True.
Yeah.
How did you, well, to create a brand in Holland, in Europe, and beyond, you need a lot of money. How did you do that?
Yeah, the funny thing is everybody always asks me about my financial situation is because it seems so impossible to start from nothing and then create a global brand. But I think there are so many steps along the way that people don't understand. It's like, you know, when you do your first order, you deliver your first collection, you have your first, you know, money, you invest it back into your small company. Okay. That is how it organically grows.
But did you already, you funded or you financed let's say the first orders from your HR company?
Yeah, that was my first small capital that I had, and after that I invested every penny that came out of the business back into the business. And that's the only reason why it could grow. Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any time for a private life, or is it only traveling?
Actually, this morning I got off and I was really pissed off. I was like, you know what, I work so hard and I just don't even have half an hour for myself to think about what I'm going to do the rest of the week, because my whole week is already planned. And so I think that is something on my priority list that I should change, because I think we also need some time to think what your next goal is going to be. I don't want to be the victim of my own success. Yeah.
What's your role at this moment? Are you CEO, or how do you manage your own company?
Yeah.
And your own time?
Right now in Supertrash I'm the CEO, but you know, I tend to be a control freak, so and that's something that I really need to start learning, to create the right team, so I actually can really give out that I'm doing myself. Right now I'm doing everything scattered all around. Yeah, I'm doing the design of the collection, I'm doing the management of the company, also the export growth. You know, it's just too much, I think. Yeah.
So what's the next step in that? When?
Yeah, ASAP yesterday. I need to create a good management team, I think. Yeah.
How do you, if you hire people, how do you judge? How do you select?
The funny thing is that hiring people for your own company is completely different than hiring, you know, finding people for other people's companies. Because I always thought I was an expert in knowing what kind of stuff, what kind of companies needed. But right now, I think that is just not my strength anymore. For your own company, it's really difficult to find the correct team and also know exactly which person has which quality and how that works out in a group. I really respect people that are good in that. And you feel it when you enter a company, you just feel that, you know, it's like a machine, everybody knows what they're doing. And, you know, and we grew so quickly, not necessarily always have the right people in-house. So, yeah.
Is it difficult to lay off someone who doesn't do it?
No.
Or is it a relief for both, probably?
I don't know if it's a relief. Usually it's not for the other end, I think, but for me it definitely is. But it is difficult to find the right people and the right energy in your company, definitely. I think that's the hardest job.
So you started by yourself, now it's a big company. Where do you want to be in, let's say, 5 years for yourself?
My ambition is that within 5 years Supertrash is a well-known global brand everywhere in the world. So I would like to have stores in all the big cities. Yeah, I think that is my main goal for the coming years. 5 years is a long time for me, but I think that if that is something that today my wish would be, is that Supertrash has head offices everywhere in the world, combined with own retail flagship stores. But it's a big dream, so I don't know if I'm going to ever get there.
What is your role then in that?
My role, I think, is besides the fact that I need to continuously bring good collections on the market, I also need to expand my business with the right business partners, so the right distributors, the right department stores. So it's not a business that you can achieve on your own. You need a lot of good people and a big network.
Yeah. How do you, let's say, select, or how do you know this is a good distributor, this is a good place to open a store? How do you do that?
Every time you enter a new market, there are a lot of challenges. So for me, after doing it 6, 7, 20 times, you recognize quality. You know when somebody is talking bullshit, and you know when somebody cannot really help you to create that distribution network that you're looking for. So I think that's also learning, understanding what type of people are good for you and for your company.
Yeah. If you look back, let's say the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, what went wrong? Really wrong?
I think starting from day one with a little experience and no knowledge in fashion, I might say a lot of things went wrong. It takes a long time before you evolve and understand the whole method of this business, and it's a weird business. There are weird people, and everybody's very different. So I think in that way there are no standard rules. When people ask me for advice when they want to start a fashion company, which obviously a lot of people ask me, I also tend to answer like it's not a standard thing. I cannot tell you, okay, when you do this and this and this right, you're going to have success. Because time has changed also. I don't think that if I would start Supertrash today, it would have become such a big success. You also need time on your hand, And I think the whole process of being successful is that I started Supertrash on exactly the right time, and there was a lot of need for this type of clothing in the industry. Right now, not so much anymore, I think. So I would like, if I could give advice to people who want to start a company or who are entrepreneurs, I think they should do a lot of market research, know exactly what's going on. Because that is what I also learn every day, is that I need to change my concept. I need to change to stay the same. That is really what a good advice is, also for people who are doing business for over 10 years. Yeah,
but there's one constant, that's change. Because the market now is different than 2 years ago. And
when I speak to people who are doing business for over 25 years and they are still using the same factories or still making the same models, I'm like, I completely understand why his business is not growing, or maybe it's not what it used to be. And that is also has to do with the mentality. I think a good businesswoman or man knows exactly when to change his strategy, his business. And
talking about factories, where are the factories?
We produce, I think, around 50% of our collection in Europe and the rest in the Far East. But I am a very European-oriented person. I love doing business in Europe. Asia, I think, the circumstances and factories are not exactly like you always want them to. So I am on that side of the business really tough. I really want to work with the right people. Yeah,
but how do you select them there? Because it's so different.
Yeah, it is different. And
who can you trust? What are the circumstances there?
When I started Supertrash, there were not a lot of options for me. Nobody wants to start doing business with a new brand who has no financial track record. An owner that's 23 years old. 23 years old. They were like, okay, where's your owner? And then I would make up this whole story. Yes, our boss is in Holland, and I'm the buyer. It's just like juggling everything. Just create what you really want to. And still today, I'm 30 years old. People don't really take me seriously. Come on, walking with my 15-inch heels and my dress. And that's also what I decided. I'm not going to change me as a person.
It's your strength.
Yeah. This is who I am.
You being yourself is your strength.
Yeah, I think if you can look through the whole, charade, then you also understand who I am as a person. Yeah.
How do you cope yourself with that? That you come in this new factory and they say, "Hey, where's the boss?" Yeah, I'm the boss.
The funny thing is, the more success I have as a person, the smaller my ego gets. I don't need to enter as the owner. I'm just who I am, and for me, I don't need respect purely because I am the owner. I want respect for everyone that works in my company. So that is funny. I like the way people underestimate me I think that's also, it gives me so much power.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. If you look back now, if you talk to other entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, old entrepreneurs, what would be your top 2, top 3 advice to them? What's the secret to it? How did you do it?
I think the secret is of being successful is working hard, number one. Because I've never met somebody that has a successful company that said to me, I only work 3 hours a day. Never. That's an illusion. So if you're not willing to do everything in your power to create what you want to create, just don't do it. I think Nike, the phrase of Nike is perfect. Just do it. That is my first advice. Just do it. And then you'll see along the way what's going to work and what's not going to work. And then you can also change your strategy maybe a little bit. And then I think the second is be very careful what you do with your money. If you have limited amount of financial resources, then you need to think that through. In my past I've made mistakes by doing investments too quickly, and later on, kind of created liquidity problems in my company. So don't do that. That's a good advice. Know where your money goes. And the third advice is surround yourself with good people with a lot of energy, because that is bound to give you the strength that you need.
Yeah. So just do it.
Yeah.
Check your wallet and find people who will give you energy.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.